Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer 55551, and I am back with a My Two Cent video for this week, for the week of March 17th to the 23rd, 2024, where I take a look at a couple of stories and give you my thoughts and my opinion on them. Though, for those who may not be familiar, although this video will be out on Saturday, I will try to do a live stream of part 3 of me playing Ghostbusters the video game remastered in honor of the moving out right now in theaters, Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. Hopefully it'll go well. If you can't catch the live stream, that's okay. I'll record it and hopefully I'll put the video up for those who miss it and everything like that. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover this week, including the trailer for 1943 Marvel's Rise of Hydra, controversy surrounding the whole situation with Star Wars Battlefront, a report coming out about what we could expect from basically the PS5 Pro, and reports about what we could also expect for the rumored Persona 6, the next entry in the Persona series for Aulx and all. And if you're interested in where I got the source of these information, links will be in the description of this video down below, so when you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started, I like to do what I like to call the quick My Two Cents, stories that kind of caught my attention, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details and everything like that. The first one has to do with some sad news. It has to do with one of the character designs for the Tales series that unfortunately has, I believe, passed away around the age of 63. So very unfortunate to basically fans of the Bandai Namco Tales series and all. My heart goes out to this person's, friends, families, and so forth. Apologize if I'm not saying this person's name correctly and everything like that, but still very unfortunate and very sad to see somebody who helped contribute to Bandai Namco's Tales series pass away and all. We also learned that basically the Gotham Knight developers, Ubisoft Montreal, will be helping with the upcoming Wonder Woman game, which has been told that this will be basically a single player kind of situation compared to the debacle of a mess that we're seeing right now, at least with Suicide Squad killed the Justice League and all. So, I mean, some people are going to be kind of mixed with this, considering the response Gotham Knights got and everything. But, I mean, supposedly there'll be a support studio and something. So we'll see what happens once this Wonder Woman game comes out and all. We also learned that GOG Games, which is run by CD Projekt Red, has teamed up with Amazon Lunar Cloud streaming service, which allows you to, I believe, to stream if you have a GOG account and everything like that, which certainly adds more to what we're seeing right now with Amazon Lunar and everything and all. We also learned that Unicorn Overlord still continues to maintain its leads over Final Fantasy Rebirth in Japan. From what I understand, the UK has dropped down a bit and all, but still, nice to see that game's still doing well. I am very curious to see how it does here in the US and everything. We also learned that basically the first-party architect for the PlayStation's systems and anything like that, Connie Booth, has now officially joined EA. What that means for EA going forward, that kind of remains to be seen. Maybe this will lead to improved quality of some of EA's games and all, but time will ultimately tell to see what kind of thing Connie Booth will do. We also learned that the director of Baldur's Gate 3 has basically sort of called out a lot of these publishers, saying that over their greed and need to sort of, and in terms of the whole industry and laying off and everything like that, which, I mean, to an extent, yeah, we've been seeing a lot of layoffs within the industry, and there's been some questions about some of the decision making, a lot of it from the head of the corporate headquarters of a lot of these companies and all. So it does bring up some interesting things about that. We also saw that basically Epic showed off a lot of things during PAX East, I think, or their presentation of what to expect for, Unreal Engine, particularly their Unreal Engine 5 that has been out for a while and all. So very interesting on that part. We also learned that Capcom is responding to criticism recently over Dragon Dogma 2. This has to do ranging from some performance issues to even some of the DLCs where you could buy basically these warp stones and all. And this has led to a lot of criticisms to even mostly negative reviews of the game on Steam charts. Now, Capcom has responded saying that Basically that these are optional, that you could still earn this stuff in-game and everything like that, which I would say on one hand that's kind of true because we haven't seen Capcom go completely out of control as some developers have. But on the other hand, I do kind of see with some of the arguments that some folks may have had with this, because we've seen in the past how the way microtransactions have been used and how a lot of people aren't exactly thrilled with this and everything like that. We also learned that the creator of the Resident Evil series, Shinji Mikami, who also did games, like the first Devil May Cry, God Hand, to when he started Tango Gameworks, who did, Evil Within, the Evil Within series, helped out with Ghostwire Tokyo and High Five Rush, and everything, has established a new company. No word on what game he might be working on at this time and all, but I'm very curious to see what kind of game he does, even if it's outside of horror in general. We also learned that the editor-in-chief in Kotaku has sort of resigned after criticizing some of the decision made by management. The report seems to indicate that basically there was a decision to focus more on guides and not on breaking news and all that stuff. So obviously the editor-in-chief's not happy with some of the decisions being made at Kotaku. And last but not least, though, the Shadow of the Dam remaster, though, that was officially announced, we now know that it is officially coming to the Nintendo Switch. It will be coming to other platforms, I think the PS5, Xbox Series X and S, Steam, but it's still nice to know that it's officially coming to the Nintendo Switch and all. And in the movie and TV show part of the Quick My Two Cents, though, we basically saw, I think, 3 trailers that I think kind of caught my attention the most. The first one has to do with the Penguin teaser trailer. This is basically the upcoming Penguin show that takes place in Matt Reeves', the Batman, or the universe that Matt Reeves created with his Batman movie that he did. I mean, it looks really neat. I definitely enjoyed Matt Reeves' Batman, and this is one I'm definitely looking forward to. It will be coming out in the fall. The other one we saw was Furiosa, a Mad Max. They did a second trailer for that one. That one also looks kind of interesting. Looks like a prequel to Mad Max Fury Road, but definitely one I'll be keeping an eye on. And last but not least, the other trailer they had was Star Wars The Apostle trailer, if I'm saying the name correctly. Again, I like some of the outings on the Disney Plus for Star Wars, though, so I'll be keeping an eye on this one and all. We also learned that basically The Sims is being turned into a movie. Why that is happening, I have absolutely no idea and everything like that. We also learned that basically Marvel Studios' X-Men 97 show seemed to have gotten very good response on Rotten Tomatoes, so it seems to be, in terms of reviews, it seems to be off to a very good start. And we also learned about basically some of the box office returns what many predict, what kind of box office returns we might see. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire is looking at somewhat of a good opening. I think I've heard around maybe 45 million or something like that, but we'll see how well it did. Basically, when it premiered midnight and everything like that. As it stands, the score on Rotten Tomato isn't great, but the user reviews seem to be pretty good and everything like that. I'm going to probably be seeing this movie on Saturday and everything like that, and I'll give my take on that one. And same with box office tracking for the upcoming Civil War movie that's coming out, though. Somewhat smaller than Frozen Empire, but might still be good nevertheless. I do think Frozen Empire is going into this in somewhat of a different position than where they were when Afterlife came out, mostly because of not only Civil War, but of course next week we'll have Godzilla and Kong, the New Empire. We'll see what impact that will have. So it's going into an odd position, but I am very curious to see how well Frozen Empire does at the box office and all. Okay, with the Quick My 2 Cent part now done, along with the movie and TV show part, we'll get started with our first story, and this one has to do with the rumored Persona 6 and everything like that. Now, one of the things I've kind of been seeing this generation in terms of what Aulx is doing has been, they've been a bit more, let's just say, more willing to put their games on other systems before in the past. Not that Aulx hasn't put games on other systems before, but some of their series up to this point has usually been exclusive to basically the PlayStation brand, whether it's Persona to even some of the stuff like Vanillaware or some of the Shin Megami Tensei games though. But over the course of the generation we've seen with the PS5, maybe the PS4, Xbox Series X and S, and the Nintendo Switch, we started to see somewhat of a shift in the strategy for what Aulx has been doing. And I think a lot of this could have started when we started to see them put some of their games, I think like a Persona 3 Portable, I believe that might have been it, or some of the Persona games on Steam and seen it do very well. And this kind of has opened the door to see Aulx do a bit more in terms of putting their games over. We've been seeing this stuff with Vanillaware, with games like 13 Sentinel, Angus Rim, and Grim Galore coming to the Nintendo Switch, and more recently, Vanillaware's Unicorn Overlord as well, to even games like some of the Persona series, like I think Persona 5 made its way over to multiple systems from the Switch to even Xbox on Game Pass. More recently, Persona 3 Reloaded has made its way over to the Xbox Game Pass and all. Well, now there seems to be reports indicating that it looks like Aulx might continue that traditional approach, with this time the rumored Persona 6, which though it has not yet been announced, it does seem to indicate we could be looking at this not only being a multi-platform release, but it is possible we could see this come up on the Nintendo's next system, aka the Switch successor or the Switch 2. In terms of the two articles coming from this, we'll start off first, the one with Video Game Chronicles that reads that, quote, until recently, the Aulx RPG series has rarely been released on Xbox platform. Before last year, when 3 games in the Persona series were ported to the Xbox and including Game Pass, it only had appeared on Xbox twice, with fighting game Persona 4 Arena and Persona 4 Arena Ultimax released in 2012 and 2014 respectively. There's a strong case for refreshed interest from Aulx in Xbox then, and according to industry insider Nate the Hate, it's planning to release the next game in the series for the Xbox. According to what Nate Hate is saying, he says, quote, from the information I've heard, it does seem Persona 6 will be coming to the Xbox, they say. I'm not 100% sure if it will be day-to-day release with the PlayStation version, but considering the way the Persona games have been day and date with the multi-platform release at this point, it may be a safe assumption to make. Another reliable Aulx insider is claiming that Persona 3 Reload and Metaphor Revanso, apologize I'm not getting that name correctly, is coming to the Nintendo Switch. It's reported that game was originally announced at Project Ray Fantasy back in 2016, and it's the first original RPG by Studio Zero. In regards of Persona 6 also, it does seem like supposedly a well-known Aulx leaker has come out basically saying that that Persona 6 will also be coming to the Nintendo Switch. This one article from My Nintendo points out that user Midora, M-I-D-O-R-A, the Aulx leaker who has an extremely good track record when it comes to Sega Aulx leaks, has said that Persona 6 will be a multi-platform game and will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Previously, brand new mainline Persona games have been exclusive to the PlayStation platform, but that has changed in recent years, and as the games have also been coming to the Xbox Series console and Nintendo Switch, Persona 6 will be the first time that a brand new mainline Persona game will be launched day one on multiple platforms. Now, granted, it is worth pointing out none of this is 100% confirmed at this time. We're still waiting to hear from Aulx itself when Persona 6 is going to happen and everything like that. That being said, though, given the strategy we've been seeing Aulx lately in terms of releasing a lot of their games on multiple platforms, more recently Unicorn Overlord has been on multiple systems, Switch, PS5, PS4, Xbox Series X and S. I'm leaning towards this one probably is going to be true and everything like that. I mean, again, it's not concrete, so I don't want to rush in and say it's official, but I'm more leaning towards that this probably is going to be true given the direction Aulx has been going lately. As far as Persona 6 or any coming to the Switch 2, if that is true, then if that report is true that's coming to the Switch successor / Switch 2, then the question is, will it be a day-to-day release with the other systems, or could we expect Persona 6 to come out at a later date after, the PlayStation and Xbox and even the PC version, for that matter? So we'll have to wait and see when Aulx announces Persona 6, and if it is coming to the Nintendo Switch 2, whether it be day-to-day or not. So overall, though this is a rumor for the time being, I will say I'm leaning towards this being most likely true. I do think Persona 6 will happen. I do agree that given the direction Aulx has been going, I think it will be a multi-platform release. And I won't rule out the possibility it could be coming to the Switch 2. The question is whether it will be a day-to-date or it will be coming a bit later down the road at all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with the PS5 Pro, and supposedly reports coming out what we could expect from the PS5 Pro and everything like that. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of my video review of basically not my video review, my part 2 of my 2 cent video for this week. Just had a brain fart right there. For this one, we're going to be taking a look at the PS5 Pro and everything and all. So basically, when the PS5 originally launched, there were some folks out there that were wondering if we would see something like a PS5 Pro and everything like that, since we've seen mid-gen refresh before during the PS4 and Xbox One situation where we had, a PS4, the base PS4, and then the PS4 Pro, and then of course we had basically with the Xbox One, we had like Xbox One X, Xbox One S, and so forth. So some folks were wondering when we were going to hear something like that. Well, over the years during the PS4's life cycle, currently where it stands, we started to hear rumblings here and there, to be exact. Well, recently, reports started to come out that it turns out to be that this leak is not only true, but I think what makes it true is now Sony seems to be, investigating who exactly is leaking this information. In some of these articles, we'll start off with the first one from Video Game Chronicles. It reads that, quote, document explains the console specifications was initially leaked by YouTuber Moore's Law is Dead before being detailed by Insider Gaming and then verified by IGN, which says the document comes from Sony's Interactive Entertainment Development Network. The specs suggest that the PS5 Pro CPU will be identical to the standard PS5, but that the new console will be a high CPU frequency mode, which increases the CPU by 10% to 3.85 gigahertz GHz, but reduces GPU performance by around 1% as a result. The GPU itself will be powered by a 33.5 teraflop versus the PS5's 10.28 teraflop, but this doesn't mean it will be more than 3 times as powerful. As The Verge noticed, changes in AMD's architectural means it's difficult to directly compare teraflops directly between the PS5 and PS4 Pro. In reality, the comparison is more like 10.28 versus around 17 teraflops. Indeed, the document leaked by Moore's Law is Dead suggests rendering is about 45% faster. The console apparently upscaling and anti-alias features are also listed in the specs. Name PSSR, which stands for PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. It's believed this could be the proprietarily DLSS-like solution discussed last year by Giant Bomb's Jeff Grubbs. Insider Gamer has also kind of digged into that a little bit, and they kind of pointed out how this resolution would work, to be exact. They use 2 games, for example. 2 case studios for 2 unannounced first-party games include. The first one is this, quote, the target image quality close to the fidelity mode, 1800p with performance mode, FPS 60 FPS. On the standard PS5, they're saying that you would get like a performance mode, 1080p at 60 frames per second, while fidelity would be at 1800p at 30 frames per second. While on the PS5 Pro, with the PSSRUs, they're looking at 1440p at 60 frames per second, sort of like maybe like that kind of stuff. While with game number 2, they're adding ray tracing to the gameplay, and this is what they had to say. Quote, standard PS5 achieves 60 FPS without ray tracing, and PS5 Pro achieves 60 FPS with ray tracing and everything like that. So while this information got out, apparently Sony did not exactly was very thrilled about this. In an article from Push Square, it reads that, quote, Insider Gaming, Tom Henderson has said that an internal investigation is already underway at the firm. Henderson's source confirmed the veracity of the leaked document detailed by YouTuber Moore's Law is dead over the weekend. It remains to be seen what the outcome of this incident will be, but the notes Insider suggests Sony reducing the pool of third-party developers trusted with new tech is one potential possibility. So with the fact that Sony is investigating this information does seem to indicate that this thing PS5 Pro is technically real. At least that's how I'm looking at it. So does this mean I'm in a hurry to go buy a PS5 Pro or anything like that? For me, honestly, the answer is no. I'm just not seeing the kind of, based on if this report is true about what we expect from the PS5 Pro, I just don't see myself rushing out to buy a PS5 Pro at this time or anything like that. For me, I personally would wait until, like, say, a PS6 comes out and all. Now, there may be those who think, yeah, this is neat, or those who've been trying to get a PS5 at some point, like, this may not be a bad idea or anything like that. And yeah, if the PS5 Pro interests you, that's great. It's just, for me, it just doesn't really interest me as much. I more would wait for Sony's next system, which will be the PS6, which we know that will eventually happen, rather than rushing out to get a PS5 Pro and everything like that. At least that's how I'm looking at it, to be exact. So overall, although this rumor is sort of interesting, the specs are kind of interesting that they pointed out, but to me, I'm in no hurry to get a PS5 Pro. Excuse me. And while Sony has not officially confirmed it, the fact that they are launching an investigation on who leaked this information, to me, is more than enough of an indication that, yeah, the PS5 Pro is real and all, and Sony might as well just come out and just admit and say, yeah, we're doing a PS5 Pro and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 3, and this one has to do with Star Wars Battlefront, and not really getting off to the best start, the classic Star Wars Battlefront, or let's just say not getting off to the best start that the developers would have liked it to be. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of my 2 cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at the situation surrounding the classic Star Wars Battlefront games that have recently came out. Now, the developer behind the team, Asbury, if I'm saying the name correctly, well, let's just say they have not been in the best of spotlights. While they have put out some games like the Tomb Raider remaster games, which have seemed to have gotten a better response to users, to gamers out there, their Star Wars outing has been kind of mixed to a certain degree. Their recent one, when they were working on a remake of Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the original one, there were reports coming out that both Sony and Lucasfilms were not impressed with it. Some of the staff there were fired, and the game was basically taken away from them, and apparently it's been given to Saber Interactive. It remains to be seen what the status of that game, although reports indicate there are still people working on it, but it looks like it might be a little while before we hear more about that title. Well, recently they did launch basically Star Wars Battlefront, basically a classic collection of the games released, I believe, during the Xbox and the PS2 era, both Battlefront 1 and 2, not referring to the one from EA and everything like that. Well, recently it does seem to indicate that the game has certainly come under fire, not only from with servers, but also with some of the modding community that isn't happy with what some of the comments Asperity has said and what they have recently done. In one of the articles from Insider Gaming, it supposedly has released some updates for basically the game on PC and everything like that, and they're waiting to bring it to consoles. The thing they brought up is that the update fixes issues across multiplayer, visuals, audio, and associated bugs. However, it does not address the server problems that has hindered the game at launch. Fortunately, Asperity issued a statement regarding the setback. The developer said that we're continuing to make server-side adjustments to improve the online multiplayer experience, as well as plans for an update too, though. They said the available is on PC on Steam, but points out that we are in the submission and certification process for PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. So other platforms should be receiving the latest fix soon and everything like that. The game, basically, Star Wars Classic Collection launched to swift and harsh fan backlash. Players were widely criticizing the lack of server preparation, among other problems. As a result, the collection rolled out to mostly negative reviews on Steam. The collection now sits at an overwhelmingly negativity. Although Steam players will be first to get the new fix, the update will be more difficult to enjoy without proper servers to play on. This problem will likely deter more players. Asperity later addressed the overall launch issue last week. They said the team explains that at launch we experienced critical error with our network infrastructure. Meanwhile, over on basically at Game Radar, it seems that the controversies grows as now modders are claiming that their work was used without credit and then removed and everything like that. Basically, it points out that, quote, concerns were raised by modder I am Ashmish, I apologize if I'm not saying correctly, on Twitter, who alleged the mod content they made for the PC version of the original Star Wars Battlefront 2 was included in the PS5 and Nintendo Switch version of the collection at launch before being swiftly patched out. Specifically, the PS5 version appeared to use a mod which brought the Xbox exclusive character Ajad Ventress, if I'm saying the name correctly, over to the PC version as a reskin of Anna Sakura, which was noticeably different attacking animations. Thanks to these different looking animations, it was reported on Reddit that this character didn't quite look right in the Classic Collection launch. Responding to the modder, said, "It should be noted I am not credited in this version or any version of the Classic Collection." Game Radar Plus has reached out to Asperity for comments for this situation, but is yet to receive a response. So, not necessarily something that Asperity and Embracer Group, which owns Asperity, wants to hear. And it kind of does throw into questions any future project that studio excuse me, may be working on basically going forward and all. I mean, first you had the Knights of the Old Republic, and then you can't even get basically games that were released during the PS2 and Xbox, these online multiplayer games, to run properly in this day and age. It kind of raises questions about any future projects they could be working on going forward and everything like that. So I do think it's going to hurt their image to a certain degree, and it'll be interesting to see if anything changes over there, including the possibility, I mean, we've seen Embracer Group basically shut down Voltron following the Saints Row reboot, so it's not out of the realm of possibility this could happen to Asperity and all, but time will ultimately tell if this happens. It's possible this game could ultimately be fixed and make a comeback, but it's not the best impression for the studio that did these ports and everything like that. So overall, Not a great sign for the classic collection for Star Wars Battlefront, which is unfortunate though, because excuse me, it's clear this should have been treated much better than when it originally launched, as it is right now. Kind of similar to my view I had with how Grove Street and Take-Two handled the GTA trilogy, so-called definitive edition that they were supposedly working on and everything like that. And we all know how that game turned out and everything. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to our fourth and final video. And this one will be a look, is basically the release of the first trailer for 1943 Marvel Rise of Hydra. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at 1943 Marvel Rise of Hydra. Now, one of the things we've been seeing lately with Marvel to a certain extent is that we're starting to see them kind of, to a certain degree, license some of their games out and everything like that. There has been some successes with Spider-Man to a certain degree, and maybe Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3, the Black Order on the Nintendo Switch. But we've also seen some not so great response, like Square Enix with Marvel's Avenger, that live service game, to Guardians of the Galaxy, which I enjoyed, but clearly did not do as well. And I think some of that may have to do with the impact that Marvel's Avenger had and everything like that. Well, now it looks like EA is going to be taking a shot with the Marvel license. We know they are working on a Black Panther game and an Iron Man game, but they're also working on one where it looks like it's somewhat of a team-up or somewhat of a certain game that takes place during World War II, and it has Captain America and Black Panther. And I will say the premise does sound interesting in a way, but there is one caveat I do have with this, to be exact. So in an article published by Video Game Chronicles, it reads that, quotes, one of the this game was showed during the Unreal Showcase at Game Developers Conference. It reads, quote, in the chaos of war's world collides, the synopsis read, Skydance New Media and Marvel Games share an original story where an enable of four heroes must overcome their differences and form an uneasy alliance to confront their common enemy, though. According to Skydance, the narrative-driven Enable adventure will have players control and enable of four characters: a young Steve Rogers, Azura T'Challa's grandfather, who Black Panther, and the World War era true Black Panther Gabriel Jones, a U.S. soldier and member of the Howling Commandos, and Nadia, a leader of the fledgling Wakanda spy network. The game is the first from Skydance New Media, a studio formed in 2019 by Hollywood producers companies Skydance and all. And so basically I did see the trailer and everything like that, and I will say this. I do think what they showed does look impressive. I do think the whole premise, like I said, sounds very promising. The idea that it takes place in World War II and everything like that, and be able to play these characters from Captain America to Black Panther during that time period, even with the Howling Commandos, does make this sound very interesting. So the trailer, I think, does show some promise, though. The problem is right now is the only thing that they showed was just a CGI trailer, and while that does look impressive, we don't have yet to see any actual gameplay or anything like that, and that's the part I'm a little bit concerned about at this time. That we have yet to see any of how this game's going to play, how this is going to look and all. And while I do think the Unreal Engine 5 is an impressive engine, we've yet to see developers have kind of utilized this in a way that would be, like actually use it very well. I think one example was the EA original, like Immortal of Avania, if I'm saying that name correctly, how that used Unreal Engine 5, but it didn't give the best response to a lot of consumers, as the game did flop and everything like that. So I do have certain concerns about this title and all. Now, I'm not going to write it off or anything like that. There's no indication at this time this could be a Watch Dogs situation where the visuals are downgraded to the point that the developers said, oh wait, gameplay is more important than graphics, or this being a Alien Colonial Marines type of situation where a developer straight up lied about the game that they were working on, which didn't turn out to be true, or the kind of situation we saw with Cyberpunk 2077 or Fallout 76 where after the game launch, it was in a broken, buggy state that ruined the company's reputation, and it's taken them years to try to rebuild and put a lot of updates and everything like that. So I will say it's a bit too early to tell to see if 1943 Marvel's Rise of Hydra will fall into that kind of situation. So I want this game to succeed, don't get me wrong, but without really any gameplay that they're showing off, I'm kind of holding off final judgment on this title, or holding off making any comments until we start seeing the actual gameplay and everything like that. So for now, I'm a bit cautious about this title, but I'm not going to write it off or anything like that. So time will tell if 1943 Marvel's Rise of Hydra will be a success or not. I'm hoping it is. My fingers are crossed on this one that I'm hoping it is, but we'll have to wait and see if they can pull it off, or if they end up blowing it and everything like that. So overall, I would say 1943's Marvel's Rise of Hydra does look interesting. It does look promising, and the premise looks very interesting and everything like that. But a CGI trailer is not going to cut it for me, though. I'm going to hold off reservation until we start seeing some actual gameplay and whether it can live up to what they're promising or not and all. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinion. What are yours? What are your thoughts about the rumors about Persona 6 being a multi-platform release and everything like that? Do you think this rumor is true? Do you think that we could see Persona 6 be released on multiple platforms? Could it be day to day? Do you think it's also going to be heading over to the Nintendo Switch 2 as well? What are your thoughts about the specs about the PS5 Pro and all? Do you think these specs are impressive? Is it making you want to go out and look up and possibly purchase a PS5 Pro? Or are you happy with the PS5 that you have right now and everything like that? What are your thoughts about the situation surrounding Star Wars Battlefront, though? Do you think Asperity dropped the ball on this one big time? Do you think this is going to hurt their reputation even more and all? And what are your thoughts about 1943's Marvel Rise of Hydra? Is this a game that you're going to be looking forward to when it comes out, though? Do you think it shows promise? Or are there concerns you have about this title and all? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications of any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal Me, Patreon, or Steam Labs. Links will be in the description, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!